Hello everybody, my name is Bob and welcome back to the Beginner's Guide. In this episode we're looking at building an iron farm. An iron farm which does not use any zombies to start with. It does however use quite a lot of our villagers, which we have an unlimited amount of, so that is all well and good for us. And we'll be building it just up the top here, just because why not? It's got to go somewhere, doesn't matter where it goes really. And that will give us all the iron we need going forward. So these are the required materials. We need 100 glass, we need 2 water buckets, 26 signs, it doesn't matter which ones, 3 hoppers, 2 chests, 1 lava bucket, and 6 beds. You can actually do this with 5 beds, 5 is the minimum. I tend to do it with 6 just because I like symmetry. And on this side I've just got some building blocks. I'm going to be building out of dirt because I've mined away a lot of dirt up there to make room for it. So the kind of area you need is a 14 by 14 square. And the reason I do 14 by 14 is because this design can be upgraded into another iron farm that has 4 modules of villagers rather than 1, making it 4 times more productive. So the first thing we're going to do is you might want to decide where your chests go. And this will be where you pick up your iron from. So this will be in the middle of your farm there. I'm just going to put mine here. That's all well and good. The hoppers, press shift, point into the back of the chest, click, and you see the tail of the hopper is pointing into the chest. And that means that when we throw something into the hopper, it ends up in the chest. We do another one. Again, we press shift, jump and place, jump and place. Get a kip. Now this here, this last hopper will be the floor of your iron farm. Now the floor can be built out of any block you want to use to build, but it must be able to spawn mobs. So do not build it out of glass, because glass cannot spawn mobs and you'll sit there for ages wondering why nothing is spawning. So I'm just going to go 14 by 14 square here. It's going to be massive, so I'll be back in a second. And that leaves a big platform. Now, unfortunately, this design can be a bit ugly to look at because it does have just a massive floating island. All that does give you a little bit of room to run underneath to actually pick up your spoils. It has to be off the ground because the villagers that spawn in the golems has to be within this area. If this is any lower, or if there's any spawnable blocks outside of this, then the golems can spawn outside of the farm, and that means that they don't kill themselves, which means, it's not automatic iron because you have to go and sort that out. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our glass, and it has to be glass. Now this is not a spawnable block, so we are just going to put all the way around. And again, it's not a spawnable block, so the golems cannot spawn on this glass. They can only spawn on this dirt in the middle. Now in the corners, we do an extra block there, and then on the corners. Again, around the edge of the corner, and then in the middle. And this is because we will be putting some water on this block here. So now what we want to do, we need some building blocks here. So these are temporary. We're going to put one over the hopper like so. Then we need to go 3 high. So that's 1, 2, 3. And then the 4th one will be another glass block. Now this glass block, we want 2 wide. And then we want 6 long. So now we have a 6 by 2 area here. We're going to take our dirt again. We're going to place one on the back, one up there. And then we are going to surround this with some more glass. And again, this has to be glass as well. Now this has 2 purposes. The first one is to keep the villagers in, because this is where the villagers will be standing, so they can't get out. And secondly, because it's glass, golems cannot spawn on top of here. They have to spawn in the area down there. So, and there we go. So as you can see, that's all our glass. Next thing we're going to do is take our beds, and we're just going to pop them down. Now we need to get out. if you're going to break a piece of glass, make sure you've got silk touch on it so you can keep the glass. Otherwise, you'll have to do up some more. We can then take this down because we no longer need these here. The next thing we need to do is actually get our villagers in there. Now, there are two ways to do this. Firstly, we need a minimum of 2 villagers, which we can put in there, and then we can just breed those to make the others. Or we can just transfer all 6 of them. Now, of course, transporting your villagers by a minecart is only one way of doing it. If you think back to one of the earlier episodes where we're actually finding and moving these villagers, you can also use your bell if you still have one, and if you chose that option. And since they link to these beds, it means you can pretty much just have them run up here themselves. He won't be able to leave because he can't walk over this rail. So at the moment, this guy is locked in here. So I'm just going to do that for the remaining 5. I'm going to take up all 6 myself, rather than just taking up 2 and breeding them, just because I have them available to me. I did have to swap my rails to the other side because you can see the kids are on this side, and I keep getting those when I pick them up. And actually, a lot of the best time to actually work with villagers is pretty much overnight, or as the sun is going down, because they link to their beds and they pretty much stay there, which means I can now break this rail and block him in, and then I just need to take all this down because we no longer need this stuff. And while we're under here, actually, on the thought of it, we want to put some torches down because we do not want this to be a mob farm under here. And there's our first golem. So it goes to show it does work. So the first we want to do is we're just going to fill this back in. So basically, as you can see now, we've got 6 villagers up there on their beds. The ring around them is to stop them from being able to escape because they can't jump over that. But it also because this is not a spawnable block. Therefore, golems cannot spawn on top of them. Otherwise, you'd have to push them off. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our signs. So what we want to do is we want to shift, right-click on the hopper there to place our first sign. And then if you shift and you look at this one again, you can place another sign on top. And we want to do that. And the reason we have 3 gap here is because we have 2 signs, and the lava goes here. And the lava is what actually kills these things. So then we look at the top one. Again, we press shift, and we want to do 3 in front of this. So 1, 2, 3. Round to the side. 1, 2, 3. Round to the back. 1, 2, 3. And finally on this side as well, another 3. And the reason we're doing this is because, I don't know if you remember that water flows for 8 blocks. Well, in the overworld, lava flows for 4. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what we're going to do is here, we're going to look at this bit here as well, this edge of this sign. I'm going to do 2 here. So 1, 2. And then on this one, we're just going to do the 1. I'm going to do that on all 4 corners. So 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1. And finally, 1, 2, 1. And what that does, I'll just jump up here a bit, is you kind of get this, it's almost like a diamond shape. And that's so that when the lava flows out, it will flow out in all these directions. However, because it's sitting on some signs, they won't actually fall down into the water. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our water, and we only need 2 of these because we're going to use the infinite water trick to start off with. So we're going to pick a side. We're going to have 1 water bucket there and another water bucket 2 blocks away. So we put the first one there, 1, 2 away, and in the middle one comes an infinite supply, and then we can just go all the way around. When we get to the corners, we want to do this block here, which is 1 in. We do not want to do this one. We want to do this one. We do not want to do this one. We want to do this one. And then it's just the same all the way around. So again, we're going to do this one. We're not going to do this one. We're going to do the corner. We're not going to do this one, but we are going to do this one. And then we just go all the way around again. And there we go. And the reason we don't do these ones in the corner is because if we do this, if we do these ones, it turns the entire field into an infinite water supply. It means it becomes still water and it's not flowing. And what we want is for the water to flow because it pushes the golems into the middle. Now we take our happy fun source. So we have to make sure we put the lava on the right sign because we've laid it all out here over that central sign. So I'm just going to pop that down. Now you can see how the lava spreads, but it doesn't drop down into the water. And that is because it spreads in 4 blocks, which is kind of all directions. It's not just 4 this way, it's also 3 this way and 1 that way, 2 this way, 2 that way, and so on. And as you can see, it also kills the golems. So now if we check under here, we have some iron. And this gives us an infinite supply of iron. Now having a step up like that, it can be dangerous because this is a spawnable block for the golems to spawn on. And what we want is for all the golems to spawn in here. We want this platform here to be the only platform the golems can spawn. And therefore, they're always in the water and they always get pushed into the lava. But as you can see, we have another golem spawn, another golem die, and another iron in the chest downstairs. Look at that. Easy iron. There we go. There's a perfect example of why that's a bad idea. Now I'm just going to lure him in because I upset him. And then I'm going to get rid of this. The downside to this one, it doesn't work overnight. So when it does get to night time, they just go to sleep and they stop spawning golems. But it does mean that, you just sleep anyway. I don't think many people will play through the night unless they're actually moving villages and using beds to do that.
Or maybe doing something like hunting zombies.
And that's pretty much it. It is just that easy. Now, of course, with the earlier farms, although we've actually put a roof on these now, so these are no longer at risk. But with any time you have villagers out in the open like this, you do either need a roof over the top of them or a lightning rod. And this is because if villagers get struck by lightning, they turn into witches, which is a bad time for all involved. So I do have a lightning rod here because initially I actually had this out in the open before I put a roof on it. A lightning rod will attract lightning to it from within a 128 block radius, which means these villagers are actually safe because they're never going to be struck by lightning. Any lightning in this area will hit that instead. If you don't have a lightning rod, you need a roof over the top of these. Again, it has to be out of a block that is not spawnable. Otherwise, stick a lightning rod down and keep your villagers safe. And that is pretty much it. So that is your unlimited iron for the rest of your game. And it's that easy, it's that quick, it's that simple. And it's so important because iron is used in so much stuff. So if that's been helpful, please do let me know. If there are any farms you would like to see, leave a comment down below and I'll add them to the list if they're not already on it. I do have plans for quite a few videos more yet. There's a long way to go. If there's anything in particular you'd like to see, let me know, stick it down below, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.